People don't understand when you're working on an album, you get into a groove. It's hard to stop that groove and that zone you in and that vision you got. We don't just put albums out and call it something and it's just a bunch of dope songs. Like everything we do over there, it's like a concept. The chances of us getting into the studio together and working on Black Hippy is slim.
In hip-hop, one of the great what-ifs that puzzles audiences is the fate of Black Hippy. Described as, in the words of Ab-Soul, the dopest group ever with no album, the concept of Kendrick Lamar, Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, and Ab-Soul all banding together to deliver a project was the stuff of the avid hip-hop fans' dreams. Initially formed in 2009 and coming to the forefront on the tracks Zip That, Chop That, and Say What's Up from J-Rock's Follow Me Home, from the jump, the foursome's magnetic energy was clear to see and made every time that they turned up on a track together into a cultural occasion that existed beyond the growing excitement about each man's solo career. Shortly after, they'd begin to grace magazine covers despite releasing somewhere around 1/20th of what a Wu-Tang Clan, a Tribe Called Quest, or a 3 6 Mafia had provided audiences with before reaching that stage. And even more impressively, they did so without any formal project in sight. Left in a position where fans had to let their excitement confirm an album in their mind's way before it was even ever announced by the artist, the thirst for Black Hippy was acknowledged by Kendrick way back in 2012.
I have about 4 songs, man. People been talking about Hippy, Black Hippy for the past 2 years. We just want to get every artist individually off the ground first. We constantly making music.
Designed as a vehicle to acquaint audiences with the TDE roster, the intrigue around the group has persisted because they haven't put a real project out. As a result, interviewers are always trying to get a glimpse into one of hip-hop's most revered and tight-lipped crews. Occasionally teased by the Anthony Top Dog Tiffet to this day, there are some fans that still cling to the idea that this unconfirmed body of work is just around the corner and that the label are relying on the element of surprise. But when we step back from blind faith in order to look at the situation, there are ultimately reasons and shifts in outlook that have ensured that the Black Hippy album remains eternally locked at the what if stage, rather than being a case of when. For one thing, the idea of them functioning as a group was short-lived. Save for special occasions, it is incredibly rare that you get to see the crew performing live. Yet, at the height of the fanaticism that surrounded their arrival, the idea of Black Hippy, the group, was so prominent that there was even talk of them aligning with another high-profile, lyrically gifted clique. It's just a natural thing. Them standing for the things that they stand for, very similar to the things that we stand for. Joe Budden said of the idea of a Slaughterhouse Black Hippy team-up, both being extremely lyrical supergroups, I like to try and make the inevitable happen. That's a priority for us. I'm gonna make that happen. But where Slaughterhouse would eventually implode, Black Hippy simply never tried to make an album. On the one hand, it seemed that this was a decision that they'd made together, making this full-scale meeting of TDE's greatest minds into a fixture on hip-hop's fans' wish list. But on the other, circumstances may have forced their hand. Between public demand and what hip-hop history has taught us, the level of synergy that you saw between the Black Hippy members between 2010 and 2012 had made the idea of a studio album seem like an inevitability. But after Kendrick Lamar released Good Kid, Mad City and ascended to the position of the voice of a generation in one era-defining swoop, it became clear that making Black Hippy into anything other than a loosely affiliated group would force 3 unique MCs to play second fiddle to their most successful member. Unveiled over a year after Good Kid, Mad City had taken the world by storm, Black Hippy would appear on the cover of XXL as a clique once again. But while the October 2013 issue billed them as rap's illest crew and discussed all of their individual triumphs, it was the headline that highlighted one of the key roadblocks that faced any future Black Hippy collabs. In lieu of placing the group's roster on equal footing, the historical hip-hop publication saw fit to dub them Kendrick Lamar and Black Hippy. As a result, subtly suggesting that they were somehow below him on the ladder. Naturally, Ab-Soul took issue with this, taking to Twitter to put this to rest once and for all, when he claimed, "If y'all keep printing Kendrick Lamar and Black Hippy, I will remove myself from the group. Thanks." Although Q agreed that XXL's editorial spin was disrespectful, he had the self-awareness to see why it happened, and in a roundabout way, explain why the notion of Black Hippy as a rap group was no longer feasible and wouldn't have yielded anything positive when the other members were still striving to establish themselves. At the end of the day, and I always say this, Kendrick, he's way ahead of us. He's a platinum artist. I haven't dropped my album yet. Rock's working on his major label album, Ab-Soul's working on his. We still haven't dropped our major label albums. So honestly, at the same time, at the end of the day, I mean, he is Kendrick Lamar. Even though we're not signed to Kendrick, he has that impact. To this day, none of them have scaled the same peaks as their first platinum selling artist. And as a result, they aren't seen on the same equal ground in the commercial or the critical space. And while this doesn't diminish the appeal of a Black Hippy Crew album in the hearts of the fans, it does make the situation into more of a tangled web than the days when they were teaming up for a 2011 Dat Piff mixtape. Despite the fact that lesser MCs might have felt resentment towards their world-famous peer or try to hang on to his coattails, what makes TDE such a vital crew and underscores why an album never took shape is that they don't accept the hierarchy that chart success has assigned to them. Instead, they're always trying to one-up each other as they strive to be the best and unseat Kendrick from the throne, believing that they all have the skills to do it.
Kendrick Lamar is everybody's favorite rapper. Well, yeah, I'm second place. It's all good, but I'm gonna be there though. I gotta take Kendrick's spot. Yeah, it's my brother. You know what I'm saying? I love him to death. You know, but I'm better than all them niggas in Black Hippy.
It's like little friendly competition type shit. You know what I mean? Just like if I be in the studio, I hear some ish, I'm be like, damn, I gotta try to top that.
Bonded rather than divided by their desire to be the king, the healthy spirit of battle means that each member of Black Hippy pushes themselves without having to actively spar with their stablemates on a collab project. And in many ways, rap for the sake of rapping would actually contradict much of what makes Solo, Q, J-Rock, and Kendrick so compelling. Across Q's projects, such as Oxymoron and Blank Face LP, through Solo's Do What Thou Wilt, J-Rock's Redemption, and K-Dot's prize-winning work, it's all about the content and the experiences, ideas, or larger social commentary that they convey through their music. In fact, they place so much of an emphasis on creating meaningful work that not only would it make it an astonishing long road to a Black Hippy album, but they're better served, as Q revealed in a 2019 interview with The Breakfast Club, quality checking each other's work.
People be having it so messed up over there at TDE. They think like Top be like holding our albums. They don't get that, like, bro, we take a long time, like all of us. Like it just happens to be like that. Like, I don't do nothing without my four homies, my three homies listening to it. Like I don't do nothing without J-Rock, Kendrick, and Ab-Soul's blessings first. Kendrick does all my albums, like he'll have credits on all my he always been a nerd with me or whatever. Like I used to be his hype man, so I think he just like feel like he's obligated to always help me. We all got our own little base. Like Kendrick has his own fan base, which is mega. You know, J-Rock has his own fan base, Ab-Soul got his own fan base, I do too.
Seen as singular artists more so than a collective, Schoolboy's description of their working dynamic further attests to why Black Hippy, the group, couldn't work and why a project such as Dreamville's Revenge of the Dreamers 3 would feel like a detour for the crew members. More so bonded by their shared ambition, outlook, and label than by a desire to rap together on a regular basis. This unwillingness to make something that'd be beneath what fans expect from them explains why their full-strength collabs are mostly confined to mixtapes or remixes and are purposefully low stakes. In this way, Black Hippy's rare group efforts, with the exception of Vice City being among the lead singles from J-Rock's 90059, has been used as almost like a release or an outlet that allowed them to step away from the stress of making albums and upholding TDE's high standards to spit bars in a cypher with friends. Meaning that rather than feeling angered that we don't have more back-to-back masterclasses of verses like the You Don't Need No remix, we should savor how special these moments truly are. But the crew is alive and well, and if you're wondering how that's possible, then the answer is right in front of you. As when you consider how focused each man is on their craft and bettering hip-hop with each move, Black Hippy isn't actually a rap group at all. It's a state of mind.